Welcome to Ravenland. For 10 human generations, the blood mist, a red and ravenous haze that rose from the ground at night, devoured travelers. Few dared to venture outside after nightfall, and fewer still know for sure what lies beyond the horizon. The demonic mist that covered the lands for 3 centuries, draining the life out of anyone who dared wander too far from their village, has suddenly and inexplicably lifted. Restless souls are finally free to leave their homes and travel far and wide in the forbidden lands, looking for treasure and adventure. The brave sharpen their blades and prepare to leave. They cannot bear the oppressive weight of their homes and hearths any longer. Adventurers, treasure hunters, scoundrels, not heroes, far from it, but men and women who dare travel the land as they choose and make their mark on it, unbound by any fate or story set for them. They hunt for ancient treasures. They fight whomever gets in their way. They build a new world for themselves on the ruins of the old. They are the raiders of Ravenland, the Forbidden Lands.
Howdy, friends and floorheads. It is Forbidden Lands Thursday nights, and I've been really anxious to see what it is. We left on quite a moment. If you have not watched episode 10, make sure you go back and check it out. It was quite an epic moment and quite an epic scene. But let's fade in for the episode. As we fade in from black, the camera pans around and we can see that we're night in a kind of a small forest glen. We can see kind of in a small clearing, Aldrich sitting, kind of his arms on his knees, head down. We can see stains from the food that he just got done devouring across his face. And Sten is standing there as a bit of a caretaker and also making sure that everybody's watching the surroundings. Over by a tree, we can see Osric trying to recover after quite a battle with this demon boar. The air still smells like campfire, but things are starting to return back to normal. We can start to see fireflies appearing. The noise of the forest is starting to return, just a sign of a return to normalcy. But we also see, sitting on a log, Vasilla, who was collecting her thoughts after a crazy battle with this fire boar. And as we faded out from last episode, out of nowhere, seemingly, leaning against the tree next to her, was our friend Marigold, the woman with the golden eyes and the white hair. And her comment to Vasilla, startling her, was, "That seemed to go well."
Marigold. Hi. I'm gonna definitely create distance, like startle up and just kind of like inch away, and I'm gonna look over at Osric and like make sure he's not like bleeding to death.
Not to death.
So hi, Marigold. Hi. What are you doing here?
Oh, I heard that the 4 of you were involved in a job. I find the 4 of you very interesting. So I'm happened to be strolling through, heard the ruckus. I come by and, how do I say this? I owe you an apology. I think my initial assessment of the 4 of you was nowhere near as accurate. By my count, you are now made up of 50% demon killers. Is that accurate?
That's true. It's true.
And your friend, and she kind of nudges her head over towards Aldrich. He has got quite the toy.
He does. He does. I tell you all about it sometime.
Well, here's what's interesting. I actually am very familiar with that. I get a sense that your friend is not. I have a sense that your friend has no idea what he has. But what I also sense is that he wants to be there because I didn't sense him on your friend.
I'm gonna look over at Aldrich like,
Aldrich is still like doubled over. I think he's actually like leaning on the scepter, like as he's kind of like breathing heavily, and he's hearing all of this, and it's like it's not helping. It's doing more harm than good, if anything, right now. Just like
so. I think you're not using he to refer to my friend.
No, like I said, you have no idea what you possess.
Well, maybe you could tell us a little bit. And Sten has kind of like turned in her direction, not turning his back on Aldrich, but kind of like keeping both of them in view. And he's clearly, I mean, he doesn't have his bow drawn or anything, but it is definitely not away. He is not feeling calm and peaceful right now. So it's like, if you felt like taking a wander alone in a demon boar infested forest, maybe you'd be kind enough to tell us a little bit of this mysterious story we don't know anything about.
Mr. Sten, are you asking me to reveal my secrets?
I'm not sure they're your secrets. They're secrets you happen to know.
Well, I really find all of this very interesting. For the four of you, each with pockets full of secrets, you're asking me to reveal mine? As a sign of good faith, I'll do that. What you have there is Auger. He was a king of Alderland. Many of the ancient elves feel that he went and passed as human to bring peace to these lands. And when his body died, his son fashioned that scepter around his ruby. That power you feel is ancient. And that power, when combined with all of the others, could bring down and end the scourge of demon across the land. But I imagine that you also have felt a bit of Augered's greed. If my understanding is correct, he asks a bit of those that bear him, but he also hides himself when he's happy. Does any of that sound right to you, Aldrich?
yes, yes, it does. It draws power from its user. It's exhausting even now.
So what are we to do? I, on one hand, can think of many, many people that would love to know what you possess. Starting with Zertorm, who, incidentally, I'm on my way to go meet with.
This hour? He's a light sleeper then.
So what are we to do? I guess maybe my question for you, oh keepers of secrets, is what do you plan on doing now that you hold Auger?
We hadn't really had a plan.
Don't tell her that.
Well, Marigold, I think that the first thing we need to do is really find out much more about what's going on in the land. As you said, there are many secrets amongst the peoples, and the lands have been shut down to folks of our stature with the blood mist, and so it's only been some short while that we can get out and about. I seem I've heard tale now that you could walk the blood mist.
Oh, of course. I was unaffected by that.
You
So-
and your friend, Dalb?
I'm sorry?
Just that fella Dalb we met. You two have a little bit of a resemblance.
The eyes.
Hmm.
It runs in my family. It's very possible Dalb is my son. I honestly wouldn't keep track.
Hmm. Just to be clear, she does not look nearly old enough for that to be the case. Right?
How many elves
No.
have you met?
She looks
Maybe one.
she looks inappropriately young for Sten.
Hey now.
So as we say, you know many things, we know less things, and so trying to learn what, for instance, that this shiny bit of toy is a formerly person named Algorid, right? That's new, exciting, and I'm sure with increased knowledge and wanderings, we'll have a better clue of how to proceed with our lives.
At some point, you're going to have to choose sides.
I mean, what are the sides? Demons or not demons?
Yeah. Either you are fighting for Zytera or you're going to fight against them. The war is coming.
All right, before I forget, Zytera is the
So
son
apparently
of
the demon lord.
Zygofer?
Zytera is being referenced as kind of the leader of this demon invasion.
Okay.
It's supposedly who Zertome is kind of raising an army
Okay, that's
to
the
go
one I was thinking
go
of.
against. Yeah,
Zertome is the son of Zygofer.
correct.
Okay.
Right.
Too
So,
many Z's.
yeah, they're all named Z. They're all the same person.
Frickin' Swedes.
Probably.
As a friend of Zertome, I assume that you know your side in this battle to come.
Oh, I just find it all interesting. I really do. What all of you were going to do, how it's all going to play out. It was interesting at the beginning. The war was interesting. What happened to Zygofer? Very interesting. The mist. And now his son supposedly raising up, and he's going to take down Zytera as he becomes a powerful mage of fire.
Sound like you don't entirely buy that.
He's made some interesting choices. Very interesting choices. His guest is interesting.
Who's his guest?
Oh, now see, more secrets you want from me.
Well, I'll trade you a secret. What do you want to know?
I would love to know about your brother that you don't talk about.
My brother. I mean, I don't even know the guy. I have a brother?
I'm sure your parents told you, did they not? That you're a twin?
No. They failed to mention that I'm a twin. What?
So the
You know my
secret
parents?
the secret is deeper than that then, isn't it? It's a secret even you don't know.
How do you know everything?
I've been around. Ostrich doesn't talk about his first love and what happened to her. That's his secret. Sten doesn't talk about.
You shut your mouth right now.
See? Secrets.
Well, you come marching out of the woods acting all know-it-all, and you clearly want to tell us some things, whether or not they're true. You clearly have an opinion as to what you think we should do. So if you want to give us your opinion, let's hear it.
I like you.
Well, I don't like you.
I think that's part of why I like you. What I'm trying to figure out is what would be more interesting for Zertome to know that one of the rubies for the crown is here in Amber's Peak? Or is it more interesting if he didn't know?
Well, it depends on what you find interesting, I suppose.
Well,
What
war is
are you,
apparently
by the
something
way?
she finds really interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you're pretty interesting. Crankiness is really in style. I'm gonna wink at Marigold.
And she looks down at you and she goes, "Don't worry, little one, I like you too." Well, I have a meeting, a date I must keep. So it'll be fun to see once I get inside the throne room and sit with him and he and I catch up and he asks my inevitable advice and counsel. It'll be interesting to see what I say.
Can I use my newfound insight skills? Not that I really expect this to function, because she seems, I don't know, significantly better than me as a character. But
Got a few more XP, I think.
yeah, like a couple, 2, 3, like angel or something kind of XP. So I'm gonna try this anyway. I'm gonna roll this bad boy. I'm gonna roll my insight to see.
Well, before you roll anything, let's talk about what you're trying to do.
Here's what I would like to know. Is she telling the? Is she like? Does she actually like us? Does she actually know these things? Right. So like, I can't tell.
Is she really
Right, she's clearly
considering
having a
telling
bit of
this guy
fun,
about
right?
us owning the
Yeah.
scepter? That's the thing I want to know, because I feel
I
like
want to know what the hell is like. I have a brother shit's about. So I want to see if she's telling the truth, but more than that, I'm like, she's clearly trying to, like, she's having fun and poking and, like, you know, cat like is the feeling I get off her. But I want to know if she's like, you know, she likes us, she doesn't like us, because clearly I think that she could mess up our lives if she decided that that was a thing that she wanted to do.
All
and
right.
if we need to run away right now, we should do that now.
So yeah, let's do an insight roll and let's see if you get any successes and how many successes, and that'll kind of help dictate and direct. All right, 2 successes. You got
that makes sense for like what I'm trying to get off of her.
Yeah, and I'm okay with you pushing this if you'd like.
Yeah.
You got no banes on your white dice, so there you go.
Nice.
There you go. So we got 3 successes. All right. I'm going to give you 3 questions, my friend, and then we'll see how specific I'll answer them.
Cool.
So 1 for each success.
All right. 1, does she actually like us?
So the way that she she almost, in both cases, when she referred to you, Vasilla, and when she referred to Sten, there was a bit of a body language change to her. And as a performer, you kind of felt like it was on stage, off stage. So when she made the comment to Sten and when she made the comment to you, she was kind of in this off stage, more relaxed thing. And you sense that, yeah, she does like you, but it's also could be in a way that a mouse is liked by the cat,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's fun, it's playful. We can swat it around a little bit.
Yeah.
Or, could be almost maternal too. It's really, that was not easy to tell, but did she like you? Yes. It's obvious
Okay.
she likes you, and specifically you and Sten is what she referred to, but
Mm-hmm.
if it spread to all four, it wouldn't be a
Well.
huge surprise.
I guess two. Zertome. Did she, when she referred to Zertome, was there a sense of confidence in him and his plan, or just completely like, well, we'll see what happens? Or was it like, yeah, he's like actually a person that could do what he just said he could do?
Confidence isn't the word that I would use. That's not the sense you got, as a sense of confidence. She definitely sees it as a possibility, right? So she was not dismissive in
Okay.
her tone and her body language when she mentions her tone. I will tell you though that it's obvious that she is layering lies within truths. Like, you get a sense of double talk. You get a sense that she's being very, very specific in her words,
Mhm.
and that she's enjoying that.
Yeah, that would match what I was getting off her. And last but not least, I want to know about my family and brother. And I guess the way I want to ask this third question is, I guess, is it true? So do I believe that she actually meant, so right, lies inside of truths, right? When she said brother, right, is she actually referring to my real blood brother, or was that like, I'm using the word brother, but like
Right.
it's I'm trying to like do the seeding that she's having fun with.
The sense you got of everything that she said, from startling you on at the very beginning, which was just like, to then you thinking about the implications of her being here and her seeing, what Aldrich has, and then talking about what Aldrich has. It wasn't until she mentioned this brother that you felt a pit in your stomach. And that feeling was that she wasn't lying. And it was a, holy crap. Like, I think she's telling the truth. I think she
Mhm.
does know this, and I don't. And what are the implications of all of that, right? The implications on your family, your parents, your
What does she know that?
how the hell does she know, right? All of that, just the playfulness and kind of the optimistic Vasilla got a feeling of a pit of like despair
Okay,
with that. How's that?
works. Thank you.
So yeah, so you're reading her,
Terrible.
Vasilla,
That was terrible.
and she so she pauses for a little bit, almost waiting to see if anybody wants to throw another comment her way. Makes eye contact with each of you.
What would it take to ensure you don't tell? Oh, I've
Zertome.
already lost his name again.
Zertome?
Zertome of the scepter.
Whoever expected the owner of Rustbite to be the merchant of this little group? So it sounds like we want to trade. You give me something and I help you keep yet one more secret?
we don't have much to trade in terms of money.
And we don't have much reason to believe she'll keep her word if she finds it more amusing to tell him anyway.
I do like you, Sten. She turns back to you, Ostrich. She's very engaged. See, here's the thing. I have so much to offer. You know, keeping your secrets. Telling you maybe where another stone could be. Helping you unravel the twists and tales of what's happening around you. What could you give me?
Well, entertainment seems to be your want.
That is a fantastic point, Vasilla. You know what I would love? On the third day of the festival is the anointment of the rock. Now, traditionally, they would ask strangers to the river, to anoint the rock. I think the four of you should do it. Now, if you can commit to that, because that would be so interesting to see you as part of the festival, then yeah, I could forget for now that you hold an ancient elf in your hands.
And Craig, can you refresh my memory as far as what we know about this festival and these things? Is this something that we feel like we could talk to the writers about? I know I'm forgetting all of the names of all of the people.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think it was
Or
the
if it's-
bartender, right? I think it was
the
Auger.
Auger's
Yeah, I think
ceremony and not the card ceremony.
yeah, so it was definitely something that something that was part of Augerville as opposed to the encampments on either side of Augerville. He made it sound like, you know, it's a tradition, it's a time for the town to come together. That you didn't get a sense. For many, it is a very religious and sacred ritual of some sort. Auger seemed to just think, you know, it's time to refer to it as a party. I think he even hinted at the fact that it's good for business and good for morale, which is obviously important to Auger. I don't think that you talked to anybody in the Quard camp about it, nor did they bring it up. I don't think he mentioned it was the 3-day festival, so that was new.
That was new.
Yeah,
it was new to me.
Yeah, when she mentioned that. But I think that's the extent of it. Jim,
Okay.
does that help refresh your memory a little?
I think so. Yeah, I think where I was trying to get is whether I, Osric, feel like that's something that I would be able to just say, yeah, we'll do that. And I think if it were Quard related, I would feel more comfortable saying, yeah, we'll volunteer to do that, and they'll say yes. Whereas now, with it being his name
Auger.
gone, Auger, an Auger based thing, I feel less confident that if I said I wanted to, that would mean that I would. So I feel like I would have to suggest to her that that would be something we would do, but that I'm not sure that Auger would find that as interesting as she would.
Okay. And are you thinking of saying that, or are we saying that?
I am saying that. I am saying that we would be glad to participate, but I'm not sure that Auger would find that as interesting as you might.
Trust me, I can have 2 words with my good friend Auger, and I guarantee the 4 of you can participate. Now, I like you, so I won't involve you in the carrying of the rock. But the cooling of the rock, I think it'd be fun to watch the 4 of you do it this year.
I remember that part. It needs to not crack, right? Is it good luck or bad luck?
Right. So that what Auger explained was that they build some sort of pyre near the river. They find a large rock of some sort and they put it on there. They heat the thing up to as far as they can, and then they use the river to cool it back down again. And if it is not cracked, it appears that it's a good luck rock of some sort, right? And we've seen now and recognized we've seen these boulders at different places around around Auger and in the farms and stuff.
Okay.
So we have a deal.
I've done stupider things.
We'll
almost
talk
certainly.
about it.
Okay. Well, if no decisions made, no decisions made. We'll see whether I can keep my promise after my discussion then. Let's see how it plays out. I'm glad all of you are well. I enjoy seeing all of you. You have made Amber's Peak far more interesting than it was before you got here. She turns and begins to walk away.
One more question.
She stops but doesn't turn around.
If you do mention the scepter to Zertorm, should I expect violence or communication?
So you see her shrug her shoulders, keeping her back to you. And she goes, that's for him to decide. Really, it's for the both of you to decide, isn't it?
Suppose you're right.
And almost under her breath, but obviously so it could be heard, she goes, maybe that would be the most interesting thing. Now, as she walks away, obviously it's dark. There's really no light sources other than the moonlight above you, and you're already kind of covered with trees and whatnot. So she kind of fades away into the glen, into the forest, and it seems like she faded away before she faded away. So you didn't see her vanish or anything like that, but it was odd. It was odd how quickly you could no longer see her.
She headed in the direction of the castle.
She was.
All right, let's get out of here.
So, do you have any idea what the hell she is?
None.
Older than the
Trouble.
elves?
Trouble is what she is.
Indeed.
Agreed.
Is there something, Craig, around that would serve as proof that this demon boar had been dispatched?
I don't think so. No, I mean you.
I think so either. I think it's sort of
Now
poofed.
it is obvious something happened here because we have an entire burned out part of this little glen here, right? So I don't know if that would count or not, but
I guess we'll have to see.
Well, I mean, it's in Aldrich. Maybe we can just have him spew out the remaining demon
Yeah,
bits.
that'll go super well. Just like give the fire back out in wherever
Don't
we're
think that's
standing.
Don't think that's something I can do yet.
so I will tell you, for all of you, like the adrenaline is now fully left your body and it's late and you are exhausted.
Well, I say we go back, tell Donai his problems dealt with, and we pack up our things and we get out of here.
Tonight, then.
Well, she's going to tell him.
He's not wrong.
I think he's correct.
Okay.
And I don't get the good feeling in the world with the name Zertome. I don't like the stories I've heard of him.
And if we want to burn whatever goodwill we have, even if we manage to stay here for 3 days and screw up their rock ceremony, I think that's going to end badly. I don't like it. I don't like anything she suggested. I don't doubt she'll be able to find this if she finds it entertaining to follow, but I don't want to tempt Zertorm with this magic gem.
Well, I mean, she has a fair question in all the playing with her food. What the hell are we trying to do? I mean, apparently you've got a dead elf thing that steals part of your soul every day or something.
Well, here's the thing. That was the body of the king in Weatherstone. And he didn't seem like he was in the scepter. That body was still flailing around some.
Well, there was a body in Weatherstone.
So this was the pre-Dave time, so I wasn't around
okay.
for those adventures.
We don't necessarily think that the king in Weatherstone is the king that we referred to, that is the scepter.
I
Like,
think
those two
well,
kings are
that
not
was
the
the
same
name we
king.
were given.
Mhm.
Was Algarad.
Okay.
We were told that he was the king in Weatherstone. Now he may not have been the last king, and the body in there may have been somebody else that was holding the scepter. I don't know.
Very
But she
possible.
also could be referring to bodies and souls being separate. They are separate, right? Walter, you're the one that does the oogly boogly.
We also don't know how that applies to elves.
Hmm.
And
I
that's
thought
the
she
real
was an
kicker
elf
here.
for a while, but apparently not.
Elf plus.
I assuming we're having these conversations as we're walking.
Sure.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
would be
that
my
seems to-
assumption as well.
So let's have you get to Denai's farm. You can see that the light is on, so you can see there's a lantern inside.
To avoid additional shockers, because not only is it a greatly powerful magical artifact, there's also like a rod of solid gold. Aldrich
not
has
a thing you kind of want to.
packed it back away out
Sure.
of prying eyes.
This baby kills so many demons.
Killed so many big demons with this bad boy.
It will not break. It broke. So I knock on the door.
And he opens the door and he's like, and you can see him like counting 1, 2, 3, 4. He goes, well,
One demon boar removed back to the lands of demons.
tomorrow I will get with the farmers and I will put together payment. I don't know how much we can put together, but I promise you will see our gratitude. This is amazing.
Well, why don't we all just sleep on that thought? Because it is very late, and it turns out slaying demon boars is way harder than they tell you in the tales. And turns out that they all light a forest on fire that you have to put out. So you think about that. You be a happy man and good to your wife and child, and we will talk to you in the future. Don't worry yourself too much on making yourself destitute for your gratitude.
Will you be at the quad camp in the morning?
Sure.
Probably.
I'll find you. Thank you. Bless all of you.
Sleep well.
You're welcome.
Horns horniness to you as well, sir.
He kind of closes the door. So you guys continue back north, walking through the farmlands, the same road that you took, to get here. And not a whole lot of activity as you make that travel. You begin to see there's still some lights on in Augerville. You can see a little bit of a glow from there. You also can see that there's some lights on at the top of the castle as well.
Like torches coming down, anything like that?
Nope.
No.
Nope. But it looks like in your absence, the town got a little busy because as you approach, you see some decorations have been started to be put up. Some streamers that have been made out of cloth and sewn together, some decorations that are arches built out of thickets and twigs that are built out and woven in with flowers and decorations and stuff. So it appears that they're getting ready for
tomorrow is in fact the first day of
tomorrow
the
is day one. That is correct. And to your left, as you're coming up the road, of course, is the Quard camp. As always, the few that are up, some of them around fires, they all treat you like friends, right? So it's all a wave, and how are things, and where are we headed?
I mean, we definitely need to
So,
sleep.
so I was going to say the question in my mind is: are we going to sleep here tonight, or are we going to be sleepy and leave?
I think if Zertome tells them to come get us, they're horse lords. We're tired. We ain't getting away.
Yeah.
Like horse faster than walking.
I mean, the idea would be we get to pick the direction, so they don't know which way we left. But I mean, they might see us as we leave anyway.
And they're probably good enough trackers. Vivi's a decent hunter at her age. I'm sure they have much better ones.
So then we stay the night.
I think we either trust Marigold or we hope that we can defeat Zertome if necessary.
I mean, we don't trust Marigold.
Well, true, but she doesn't betray us for fun.
Yeah. Craig, is it after midnight now?
It is.
All right, so even if we just took a quarter day rest, we'd still be into the regular morning hour before we could go anywhere.
Yeah. I do think we should stay together, though.
Yeah, I mean, Sten is clearly unhappy, but he kind of slowly nods. Are our tents big enough that we could sort of pack our sleeping bags into one of them?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, if the four of you wanted to stay in the same tent, there's more than enough room for the four of you.
I think this might be a good night
That
for
sounds
that.
like a good idea.
Each individual tent is twice as big as the tent you carry.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we'll do that. Let's pack it all up, pack us
some
into
rest.
one place.
Yeah.
And so, whose tent?
Who's closest to the edge of camp?
So, Meridia made sure that you guys were close to her tent, which was a sign of honor. The closer you are to the huntress's camp, the more important you are with the Quards.
So none of us.
Yeah, so they're about equal, to be
We're
perfectly
not on
honest
an
with you.
edge, is what you're trying to say.
No.
Well, if they come looking for the thing, they're going to go to Aldrich's tent first.
Good call.
If they come and ask the local folks, Vivi will point them to me. And if she's leading the party, she'll probably go. She'll probably go to Vasilla. So I vote for Osric's tent.
That's about as
Maybe
good as
give us a
logic
few
as any.
moments.
I'm forgettable. I get it.
Yeah.
You just killed a demon.
The
So
maze of your mind is most impressive.
the four of you have already eaten and drank for the day, so we don't need to worry about that. We'll go ahead and do our quarter day rest for the four of you, so there's nothing to be concerned about as far as sleepy is concerned. Anything before we cut to morning?
I would have encouraged Stan to put up like a tripwire or something so that we don't have someone sneak into the tent. You do that, right? That's part of hunting.
Sure. Is that a
reasonable.
thing I could do with survival? I don't
Sure
have
could.
a trap specifically, but
Yeah,
Let me
well,
just make
let's do a survival roll and see what comes up.
alrighty.
I have
Sounds reasonable.
snares in my inventory.
Oh, well, that
Nice.
sounds like that would be the perfect thing to do.
So go ahead and why don't you go ahead and add 2 black dice? Add two gear bonus. Yep.
Cool.
If we were playing a different game, this would be the caltrip time.
These snares are stupid, and I don't know how they work.
You were watching him try to and then the branch goes. Sten's
Look, I'm
tired.
very tired.
Had a long day.
You're so smart. You do it.
My eyes are bad in the night.
Oh well.
All right.
All right. Anything else?
Oh boy. I think
No.
Aldrich's just laid down his bedroll and just
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
he's done.
I think that's all the things.
This is
And
the
we're
first
not.
time I'm happy we're doing this online. I can go back
no
and
one-
look at that conversation and be like, what the hell did she say? I feel like there's things in that conversation that are
There's layers.
important. Yeah.
And we don't think anyone's keeping watch to pull Sleepy.
I don't think so.
I don't think that someone is going to be me, but I'm just
No.
putting it out there in case we
I
want to
mean,
think about
I'm
it.
assuming
think-
none of us are undamaged at this point.
Yeah, I think if they
No.
decide to start
Okay.
some stuff, then we
On board.
are
Doesn't
an
matter.
entire camp of warrior
Yeah.
people.
Mhm.
Sold.
All right. Well, get as much sleep as you can.
So the four of you doze off. And you do get a full sleep. So let's go ahead and restore those attributes.
Oh God.
Yay. I did that backwards. There we go.
But you're startled awake. And it's daylight. So it's morning. May have been a little while since old Sten and Osric slept till the and didn't wake up before the sun. And it is one of the quad guards that has been kind of rotating between your tents, guarding the outside of your tents. And he bursts in and he goes, Osric, you're all here. We've been looking for you. Meridia needs you, all four of you. We were worried.
All right, give us
I'm
a
like
minute.
worried about what?
We couldn't find you.
Oh, we were having a party, and we just got tired.
It is none of my business.
Very
We'll
good.
be out.
Please let her know that we're
Yeah,
fine.
that
We'll
we
be
are
along
safe
presently.
and well.
So I will tell her, no, you're coming. You're coming, correct?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
Of course.
So he
be there
kind of backs out
momentarily.
and he seems very apologetic, like sorry, and he backs out. You are once again alone.
That'll tell some stories.
The
All right.
moment-
Well,
the
let's.
moment he's gone, Aldrich goes into his pack and just makes sure it's there.
My precious.
Well, it's more like, did they send thieves in the night to
Well,
steal our goods?
So speaking of which, let's go ahead and take the damage to your agility and your wits.
Okay.
Everybody's
Wouldn't that happen at the
friends.
end of the quarter day?
What's
'Cause we
that?
just rested. Because it's every quarter day I'm awake. So wouldn't it be at the end of the quarter day that I would take the damage?
I think we should do it now.
Okay. I'll do it now.
Craig's making up for lost time.
It's going to work out fine.
Makes sense.
Does it? Like, why is this elf's soul in a ruby that's stealing part of you? And when he's happy, he stops. What? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, she seemed to say that. She did suggest that
She did
if he
say
was
that.
happy, he would stop.
Well, no, specifically what she said was that he seems to be happy because he's hidden from me.
Mm,
That's what she said.
Even less
Sure.
sense.
Don't like it.
Cool.
All right. Let's
so
go see what she
as
wants.
we prepare ourselves to go meet Marigold. Marigold?
No.
No, we're going to
Meridia.
see
Meridia.
Sorry.
All M's and
M's
Z's.
and Z's.
M's and Z's,
The M,
baby.
the M
Sorry,
we
I
like.
promise normally I'm not as bad with names as I seem today. Are we taking all of the things? Are we preparing ourselves to pack out?
I'm not
or-
going to leave it in the tent. I don't think we need to pack all of our things, but take all the important things.
Cool. And I think, well, certainly Aldrich's not leaving that. But my question is, are we taking all the things? Or are we sort of in a
Let's
Once
hear
again,
what
less
she has
than-
to say.
less
first.
than-
We're in the middle of an entire encampment of warriors. Running is not going to function.
okay?
No.
I'm just asking the question.
It's a fair question, but no.
You step outside, and unlike any morning since you've been here, there's a lot of commotion. So there's people leaving tents, going to horses. You see people dressed. You see weapons being pulled. You see armor being worn. You see preparations being made, hair being braided. And as you get closer, and it's not too far of a walk, obviously, to get to Meridia's camp, that seems to be the center of activity. All kinds of commotion. We see people coming in, coming out. and your guard that woke you is there at the door, and he's waving you.
Mhm.
Make room, make
Guards.
room. So he pulls the door, the cloth, and you guys enter in. There might be 20 people in the tent right now. And there's a lot of conversations going. You see Meridia on what is her bed, but is also kind of where she sits as she's having conversations and holding court. And immediately she looks at you, Aldrich. I need to know where my son was. Whatever you know, I need to know. He didn't come home last night. Nobody can find him.
I don't know where he was. The only time I saw him out was the other night, and he was returning here. He never divulged his location. He never told me where he was going.
So she stands up. Now, just to remind everybody, including the listeners,
I-
this is the first
this
time
is the first
Sten,
time we
Osric, and
know
Vasilla have heard
that-
any of this.
That
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
we
She
do
goes-
know she has a kid. We just don't know that
Correct.
Aldrich
Two kids.
Yeah,
knows
it is.
anything about this
It's
kid.
Vivi's older brother, right?
Yeah, or more.
Who you met, right? So she stands up. She goes, "Where were you when you saw him?"
I heard him sneaking back in outside of my tent, and I followed him back, and he was headed towards
Take
his
me.
tent.
Let's go to your tent. So she kind of
okay.
flags two of
All
her
right.
men, and she kind of like makes it very clear we are leaving now, and she walks you over to the tent. She goes, "I need you to be very specific. You stepped out of the tent.
Mhm.
Where
And
was he?"
I'll basically try to retrace my steps as best as I can, and basically follow the same path I followed whenever I followed him that night.
What the hell did you do, Aldrich?
So she is being very specific. You've got like the men she's with are very concentrated on, like, everybody is hanging on every word. And if Meridia thinks for a second you haven't given her all the details, she keeps digging and prodding for it. She then says, "Okay, thank you. Please stay here." And she kind of walks away, and you see her kind of convening with the men and having a conversation. The four of you are now alone, and you can have a conversation isolated just to the four of you if you'd
What
like,
is
while
all
she
this
is kind of
about?
holding a conversation.
What
The-
the hell did you do?
I did nothing. The young man was out and about at night, and
And you
I-
told his mom.
well, I mean, he's gone missing now. If you're gonna tell me I was wrong, then he wouldn't have gone missing.
So you smelled that someone had summoned the boar, right?
Not necessarily. I had the scent of magic, but nothing more than. It seems like a bit of a leap.
No, I really thought that. I remember you saying that, like, someone
Yeah,
had come in,
There was something about some human
There was sign of
connection
people.
there. Yeah.
Signs of
right?
people.
Coming into this clearing where the
Yeah.
boar was summoned, or the strong magic taste was,
yeah.
or something.
Right. Yeah. There was definite sign of people with the summoning. That seems a bit of a leap to make.
Can we see the other camp, the non-quad camp, the quad light camp?
No, so Augerville kind of blocks the view, right? So the two camps are very clearly. So the Galdane camp is on one side of Augerville, and then the Quard camp is on the other. And you'd have to go into kind of where you could see both of them at once, and you don't get a clear view of both of them at the same time. But if you stood in the center by the well, in the center of kind of the main courtyard of Augerville, and you were facing Auger's place, to your right would be the Quard camp. To your back would be the castle, and then to your left you would see the Galdane encampment.
And I feel
if
like
I-
Meridia asked this question, but I'm going to ask it again. In terms of where this kid was coming from, Aldrich,
Exactly. That's what I was about to ask.
where
He was
where
traveling.
would he have been coming from? Does
He
that
would have been
make sense?
coming from the side of Augerville and the Galdane camp, right? So he would be coming from the center of all of this towards towards the encampment.
Okay. So, but that is
Yeah,
like,
he
if
was-
I were to say, would it be from the farm area where we were and where that sort of the
Not
forest
really,
and those
no.
things, it would not be that direction.
No.
It'd be
So I think
way
that
off the
that-
beaten path.
So, what did he say to you when you saw him?
I didn't press. I just merely let him know that he was less than subtle in his attempts at stealth, and just I wanted to make sure he was safe. I did not
So
want to
did
press
he
the young
have-
man.
Bedhead? Like, is he looking muscled?
I
Not
wasn't
muscle,
looking
but,
that
like,
hard.
rustled?
It was dark, okay? Wasn't too dedicated to the young man's appearance.
So, Craig, I'm assuming that there is no way, having been a couple days of activity, to see anything resembling tracks or a trail
No. You do have a tug on your sleeve though, Sten.
here. Mm-hmm.
And you
Assuming it's Vivi.
turn and it's Vivi.
Mm-hmm.
And she looks at you, Sten. She goes, "Are you going to find him?"
We're gonna do everything we can to help your mom find him. Yep.
So, and then she like almost crying, and she runs off to be next to her mother.
Well, do you want to go offer Hero Sten to help?
Well,
I don't know.
I-
She said to stand here.
yeah, I'm not inclined to buck her commands, but I hope she knows by now that we're on her side. We are all on her side. You still right?
I mean, as long as she's not starting a war
She
with the
seems like one of the
Galdanes,
few good people we've met around here so far.
So
which makes me distrust her immediately.
the little discussion that was happening with Meridia kind of breaks a little bit by her direction, obviously, and she with purpose walks towards the four of you, and she
Then
says,
resist the urge to snap to attention.
she says, "The four of you have already done so much. The only reason my daughter is here is because of the four of you, and I'm embarrassed to ask
What do you need?
this. I think Omar is at the Galdane camp. I've suspected that he has been going over there. Aldrich confirmed it for me. And last night, he and I had a very difficult conversation. And I made it very, very clear to him he is not to go over there. And now he's gone this morning. And none of us could make it over there. It would only get worse. I'm having a hard enough time controlling my tribe. Half of them want to go over with swords.
Do you know why Omar would have been going there?
I don't know. But I know he's a
Remind me
boy.
how old he is. Sorry.
16.
16, 17.
Yeah.
He goes, she says, but he's a boy. And unlike women, has no clear sense of anything, of danger. And all it takes is a wink and a nod from a woman. He wouldn't tell me why he's going over there, but every time I pressed it, his embarrassment was obvious. My only hope is that he's safe.
Well, ma'am, if your goals are the safety of your son and not holding back bloodletting in the fields and not against demons, then certainly we'll happily be envoys in secret and find your son.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Don't worry about it. The Galdanes are messy folks. They'll let us in. We'll figure it out. I know it's hard for. Well, I don't know it's hard for a mom, but I mean, I know my mom worries. So you should. I know you're a warrior woman, but we'll find him. I mean, we've slayed demons. I mean, finding a 17-year-old boy who tried
let's
in
go.
rut.
Let's just
You know.
go.
So a few things are happening during this rant by Vasilla. One, we can see Meridia wants to leave, but is obviously trying to be polite, right? So she's like nodding, and like you can see her withdrawing, but she doesn't want to seem rude. You are also eliciting a few giggles from the men who just find you amusing as hell as this goes. And as soon as you like finally take a breath, she almost interrupts you, but make sure that she's not interrupted. She goes, thank you so much, and please, whatever they want, whatever they need, whatever he needs, whatever's happening, all I care about is that he's safe and that he comes home.
Right.
And then she doesn't wait for a response because she's afraid she's going to get sucked in again.
Good.
So she immediately walks away.
I feel like safe and home are not the same.
Oh, it's fun being the ridiculous character.
Well,
Time to go kidnap a teenager.
no, I think we definitely do not want to kidnap him.
Yeah.
First, we see if he's there by choice, and then we try and talk some sense into him.
Wonderful.
Aldrich should maybe not be actively involved in that conversation.
Yeah, he will likely not take kindly to seeing me. He will likely suspect a betrayal, which is fair.
Mm-hmm. All right, well,
Who
let's
tells on a kid's mom?
go see what we.
Weren't you 17 once?
Yes, and when I was his age, I was out in the woods studying magic, and look where I turned out.
Yeah, you just killed a demon boar. Someone has to go talk to the
Turned out
farmers, by
fine.
the way.
Fine.
On the plus side, everyone, we didn't get a visit from our Lords of the Mountain this morning.
Yes.
Today's young.
That is true. On the plus side, she did not ask about anything else of that nature.
So let's go meet the Galdanes.
Mhm. So,
And-
Craig, let me ask you this. I know you said it's kind of like we'd have to go past or even through the village proper to get there.
Mhm.
I wonder, I mean, it's pretty early. I wonder if we might be able to stop in and talk to Auger and see if he can recommend anyone who's more
to provide an
amenable,
introduction to
friendly,
the Galdanes,
some kind of,
rather than
you
we
know,
just walk in and
third
be like,
party
"Hey, where's Armor?"
Well,
Yeah.
let's have the four of you head into Augerville, towards the main center of town, which is where his inn is, his tavern. You get there, and the door is open. We see people coming and going. So obviously, it appears that Auger's is open. And as you step in, it looks like breakfast is wrapping up. There's a few stragglers eating. You've got his staff clearing plates, and as he's always seems to be, he's there behind the bar.
Hi, Auger. We'll walk up, climb up on a. So we have a especially important question for you this morning.
You're the talk of the town.
Yeah.
I bet we are.
what in what sense?
I don't know if you heard, Stan, but there was a demon boar killing last night.
The farmers tell me that you slayed the demon.
Oh, that. Well, yeah. There's
That's
a lot of potential reasons to be talking to town. That's fine.
So he pauses for a second, and you see him slap his hand on the bar and slide towards you, Sten. And he says, if any of the farmers try to give you any money, you tell them you've already been paid. and he lifts his hands, and there's 3 gold pieces, which is a
Oh, I
lot
see
of
what that
freaking
is.
money.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's. Are you sure?
Do not take any money from the farmers.
No.
Understood.
All right.
I was
This
trying
is
to tell him
more than
not to
enough.
give us money last night.
Thank you
Of course.
for what
Thank
you did.
We only did what was right.
So, Sten, go ahead and add 3 gold to your sheet.
Woohoo! I'll probably share with you guys. at some
Go
point.
go spend that somewhere nice,
Oh.
buddy.
Don't blow it all in one place.
I'm gonna get a bow like you would not believe.
I'm gonna cover this bow in gold.
Gold.
Hell yeah.
Well, thanks for that, but we have a more immediate question, I'm afraid.
Go on.
So we need to talk to the Galdanes. Is there anyone we can like say hi to, likes you, be?
That's difficult. You've already made it very clear to everybody in town by where you lay your head what side of Augerville you live. That said, you've built quite a name for yourself, not only in Augerville, not only in the Quard camp, but word has spread. Have a seat. Let's get fed. And he flags over to one of the gentlemen that kind of helps him out and just does a lot of the serving. He says, take care of them. I'll be back in about 15.
Thank you.
And the guy's like, oh, I'm in charge. You get a sense like this doesn't get to happen every day. And he takes you to a table. And they whip together some yummy food and yummy drinks, some coffee and everything. And
You do a surprisingly good mimosa at brunch.
the mimosas are only on Sunday. Sorry, sir.
Before he walks off, I just want to catch him and say, Auger, I just want you to know that we aren't taking sides. We are on the side of good, and certainly would not want to take any part in any squabbles internally here in the city.
I appreciate that, but unfortunately, actions are a lot louder.
We could put our heads here.
think
I mean,
it's
your
too
mimosas
little,
on
too late.
Sundays are excellent.
And we can afford a nice room now.
But I'm going to have a conversation. I'll be back.
Well, thanks.
So he leaves. You eat. And as you eat, people just empty out. Not for any particular reason. Everybody's finishing up and whatnot. There are a few that you can tell by how they're dressed. They're the farmers that don't come up to you, don't say anything. But before they leave, make sure that they make eye contact with you and just, give you a nod and just a sign of gratitude as they step away.
Boy, I hope that boar's really gone.
Me too.
Me 3.
Craig, quick question. Just sorry, a little bookkeeping thing here.
Yeah.
Is it okay if we just break that money up and distribute it around now, rather than, or do we want to?
Well, you're
track
not.
of-
I mean, you've got 3 coins, 4 people. So you tell me where the other
Well, I
2
was gonna
coins are
say,
going.
it works out to I think 7 silver, 5
No,
copper
no.
each.
You
if we
have
can make
3
change.
gold coins.
Yeah,
Okay,
You
all
don't
right.
have-
All right. Okay, fair enough. The waitresses can always make change. They have that apron full of.
They're like a gold coin. Oh my god.
Auger's got one of
I
those
gotta,
little
I gotta go get that from
Yeah,
Auger.
exactly. All
coin
right, never
thingies.
mind.
Yeah, I think we'll have to. We can talk about if we want, 3 people to
Yeah.
carry them, so that all of our eggs are not in a proverbial basket.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with being the one who's not carrying a gold piece if that makes that easier. It's not.
No, Sten
particularly
was
great.
going to hand them to Aldrich and Osric if it came to that, but we'll see.
On the other hand, I'm kind of holding a golden stick already. I'm already a prime target for robbery. agree.
This is the best game of not it I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Like
I'll
I'll
carry the gold.
honest-
It's
I
fine.
never thought I'd be not hitting a gold piece. And here we are.
It's fine. I'll take a gold piece.
So as you're finishing up, like I mentioned, it's only you and the staff at this point, and it's been a good 15, 20 minutes. And we see Auger come back, and behind him is a very large man. And for you to say, wow, he's big, after Auger walks through the door, I mean, being bigger than Auger is a big deal, right? He obviously is Galdane. You can tell that there is not much time nor care put into his appearance. Just muscle stretched over his frame. There does not seem to be 1 ounce of waste anywhere on his person. He's got a very large beard. You can see some scars on his face, but nothing like deformative at all. And Auger comes over and he goes, "This is them. Gentlemen, lady," looks at you, Vasilla. "This is Gotharm. As a favor to me, he's come here. But he won't be here long." So Gotharm doesn't wait to hear from you. He grabs a chair, flips it around, sits down. Make it quick.
Well, hello, Gutharm. So we wanted to say hello to you and the Galdanes in general. It appears that there's some rivalry between you and where we are currently sleeping, and we wanted to make it clear that that is not our side of this rivalry, and that we're actually on the side of good and right, at least Osric is.
Are you tired of the pillows?
Well, tired of politics.
Actually, yes.
So, do you know the son of the leader of the
All in.
Pords?
Why?
He has poofed last evening.
For some, I'm sure he has.
Is he well? Do you know?
He's alive.
Good. Start. Happy?
The problem here is that Meridia and the Cords are not taking his disappearance well.
Well, the problem is the kid is stuck in the middle of a stupid fight when we should be arguing against demons.
Have you been
That'll
hired
help.
by the Quards?
No.
Are the great demon hunters of Augerville going to come punish the Galdanes?
Nobody
Why
wants
would
to
we
punish
not?
anybody. We
Galdanes.
want the kid to be safe, and we don't want there to be a war between you two when we've got bigger fish to fry.
Wonder if demons are actually fish.
I'm sure they're demon fish.
Helpful.
I don't want a war either. So we align there.
We simply wish to be able to tell the boy's mother that he's okay.
And I want him to be okay.
Would it be
Preferably-
possible for us to talk with him?
Auger's been good to the Galdanes. I think this is the first favor he's ever asked. So come with me. I'll take you to meet Skansa. And that's who you need to talk to.
Thank you.
I make no promises beyond that.
That's
deal.
all we can ask.
I appreciate that you don't want a war there, sir.
So he gets up, and there's a kind of an unspoken thank you from Auger, at which Gutharm obviously acknowledges. And he starts to walk away, and he turns. He goes, "Are you coming?"
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Put down the last of my mimosa.
Should we settle? Do we need to settle a tab?
There's no indication that needs to happen at
Okay.
all. It was obviously, Gutharm wasn't trying to be quiet or silent, which is not a big surprise considering the place was, had emptied out and all that was there was Auger and the staff. As you're leaving, Aldrich, you sense some movement to your left. And in the back corner, you get a gesture. Marigold has a little teacup. You can see the steam coming off of the teacup. And as soon as you make eye contact with her, she says, "Best of luck."
Are you entertained?
Are you not entertained?
And I just turn back and
She
march
blows on her tea and takes a sip as you leave. So you walk through a series of streets of Augerville, and eventually you make it over to the Galdane camp. And as we talked about at the very beginning, a much different camp than what we saw with the Quards. Spartan is the best word to use, right? Everything is functional. The tents are functional. They're smaller. The horses that you see are beautiful horses, bred horses, but they're not decorated with fancy saddles. They're functional saddles. And everybody you see is focused on function, right? The blacksmiths, everybody seems to be, what do I need to do what I need to do? That is the feeling you get as you come through this. And he works his way through and takes you to the tent. And he stops and he says, "Give me a moment."
Thank you.
He goes inside, and as you stand there, maybe it's the first time you realize it, but every single eye is on you. And maybe if they were dressed differently, maybe if they braided their hair differently, they could pass as Quard. But there's no doubt the differences culturally between these two camps. Nobody approaches you. Nobody says a word to you, but every eye is focused on the four of you.
Craig, I would like to, while we're waiting, I'm going to start singing a song, if I have the time to do so. And I'm not going to be like announcing, like prancing through the area, but like, I want it to kind of be like, I want it to be like an earworm that like gets into people's heads, like kind of like a, like, I don't know, not like a production, but like a little like song. And
a simple ditty.
Yeah, simple ditty. But I'm gonna pump some
with a sharp catchy hook,
some willpower into it. To hold on, let me go find the right words.
As soon as Vasila's like picking the lyre out, it stands like,
no, I don't get the lyre out.
This is oh, you're just singing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So range yourself for a few minutes. They stop what they're doing, and any scouting rolls they make is modified negatively by the number of hit points. There is no effect in combat. But rank 2 is I would get paid for it. But I don't want to get paid for. What I want to do is like change their opinions of us in a positive direction. So I'm not like trying to like manipulate. Well, I guess I am trying to manipulate, but I'm trying to get to like we are like
in a friendly way.
Yeah, like I'm going to use the power of song to be like, actually, no matter what you heard, like.
Yeah, we're not like, so bad.
These guys are okay.
Would a mean person have such a pretty voice?
Yeah, exactly. Like
so,
100%.
The one detail I need from you,
yeah,
is the lyrics. Now I don't need the exact lyrics, but I need to
how
know what
chord
this
centric are your
song
lyrics?
is about.
Yeah. The theme of the song is two brothers who united to protect their family against a demon bear.
Okay. All right, let's do a manipulate roll.
Is there a way in the system that I could use willpower points and my path of song to make this improved dice?
No.
Okay, cool. I'll push.
Okay.
Oh, trauma.
The slow roll.
Drama.
Oh,
All right, so it already
A little
applies the
nervous,
1
huh?
damage to empathy.
Nope.
So let's play
Good.
this out. So Gutharm goes into the tent. All eyes are on you, Vasilla. I need to know what happens first, what the push looks like, and then we'll talk about what happens next.
So the push looks like trying to what would empathy damage from a push and manipulate roll look like?
I could see her. It's not working at first, so she kind of goes a little harder on it, and then like when it's still not working, kind of gets that wave of embarrassment. Like, oh
Yeah, I could definitely see her being like,
This isn't going well.
I could also potentially see Vasilla's feelings being hurt,
yeah.
oh.
like emotionally being damaged by the fact that that happens. And to give you a
Yeah,
sense for
she's used to
Vasilla,
singing and making some money while she does.
she's used to like this. This is her thing, right?
How can
And
someone not like me?
so here's what happens. There's a novelty at first as Vasilla starts to sing, and you already had everybody's attention, but instead of looks of wariness and unfriendliness, it initially turns to looks of confusion. And as Vasilla starts singing, I think you notice like expressions are not changing. So the initial shock of the fact that you're just started to sing kind of wears off, and they kind of go back to their first demeanor. In fact, a few people turn and walk away. And I think that is just like, ow.
Yeah, pretty demoralizing for old Vasilla.
So if you're okay with it, Dave, I'm going to have you get a little bit more, right? So a little bit more physical as you're singing.
Yeah.
And
I like,
keep
well.
just strolling around as you're going. And it does the exact opposite of, I think, what you were looking for. You start seeing some annoyances. Sten, Aldrich, and Osric notice kind of a physical change in some of these Galdanes, where they're changing their facing and giving you definitely more attention from the singing, but you get a sense this is not the attention you want. So that's where we are at this moment. Vasilla is singing. Sten, Aldrich, and Osric, you're sensing.
Before I specifically react, Craig, I know that the Quard refer to the Galdanes as a dirty people.
Yep.
They're not. Is that correct? In my just from what I've heard, it seems like they're plain and they're
rugged.
perfunctory. Is that the right word? They're very function first.
Rustic.
So
say.
let's say this. Let's say they're not slovenly at all, right? So they are, but they do not spend time with their
Right,
appearance.
They
right?
are functional. They are function first people. They
They are functional, and not to be obnoxious, but there's a smell in camp, right? So it might be that bathing isn't as high a priority for what they for their daily routine or their weekly routine. But to kind of get to what you're asking, Jim, it's not like they're dirty isn't the word I would use, and I don't know if it's the word that you would use.
Okay.
But unrefined.
Sure.
Uh, yeah, that might be the best way to put it, right? And again, it's obvious what they care about, and what they care about is what they're doing, not how they're looking, not how they do it, not what they do it with.
Okay. So I think then Osric will attempt to catch up to and place a hand on Vasila's shoulder and say, "This might not be the time, lass."
You're muted.
Sorry, I'll mutter something unpleasant to myself about their tastes in music, but I'll give in.
So as that finally Osric potentially saves the situation, we see Gotharm step out and opens the tent. Gestures for you to go in.
Okay.
I guess
Here
we're
we go.
going in.
Mm-hmm.
So you go in, and unlike Meridia's tent, this tent has a bedroll. It has a table that's small. Obviously, one person eats for one person to eat at, and there's a chair. And sitting at the chair is probably the oldest man you've seen as you've gone through this camp. He by no means is elderly though, but older than Meridia, right? So if we said Meridia's was kind of like mid 40s, this guy looks really good, but he's probably early 60s, right? So a little bit older than Sten, much better shape than Sten, and but not you. If he was not sitting in this chair, if you were not told this is Skunsa, you wouldn't know him from any other Galdane as you're going there. And he's there. Behind him is a girl, 14 maybe, 15. Hard to tell because her face is buried in her hands. And she's obviously upset. To the right, at his feet, on the ground, hands tied behind the back, blindfolded, is the person you're looking for. His feet are bound. His hands are bound. Skunsa looks at you. Your next words should be chosen. Let's go to break. We'll be right back. You're in the tent. Choose your words.
We don't know what the boy's done. We don't know who's at fault here. We don't know any of the story behind it. All we know is that if anything happens to this boy, and I'm not saying he does or doesn't deserve it, there's going to be a lot of bloodshed that nobody wants.
You're not wrong.
Can you tell us what happened?
That woman's little boy here has been sneaking over here, I suspect, for a while. I barged in to my daughter's tent and found them. There was no permission asked of me, no trade of tithe. And if this was anybody else, he would not be alive. The girl behind goes, but father, and he puts his hand up.
Well, thank you for holding back your hand. What can be done to make this right? We don't know your ways.
I don't know if I know. Like I said, it would be right if I didn't know what would happen, if I made it right. And he stalls, right? You can see his wheels turning. And Sten, especially for you, because you're having a very direct conversation with this man. This man is of similar age of you. You can tell that he feels very much backed into a corner, and he is having a very difficult time. And as he pauses, and I didn't mention this, but there's several people in this tent with him. It is by far the largest tent, and a woman stands. And it might be the first woman you've seen since you've come into the camp. Maybe early 30s, not attractive, but by no means unattractive. She is dressed specifically and in a less functional way, right? So she is not dressed for war. She is not dressed in armor. She has an actual dress that she is wearing, and you can tell that her choices for her appearance are also very focused and specific in her own way, much like the rest, right? Yeah. But her not for cutting wood, her not for riding horses, her not for fighting with swords.
I'm guessing this is their priestess.
She says, she stands, she goes, Skunsa, may I? I have no interest in talking or hearing from you. Not now. What is she offering? Looks at you, Sten. How does she think we should resolve this?
She hasn't said. The reason we're here is that her concern, far and above anything else, is for her son's safety.
He's safe.
I see that, and we can tell her that, but this is not a sustainable situation. There is going to have to be some kind of negotiation between the Galdanes and the Quartz. I don't know who needs to conduct it. I don't know where it needs to happen. I don't know what the rules need to be. But unless you want us to spend a week running back and forth between camps offering messages, I feel like you gotta have some people talk to each other.
Have her send Palacus. I'll talk to Palacus.
Okay. We can do that.
I don't know why you're still here.
Okay.
Point taken.
Unless anybody else has anything to say, I'll give them a respectful, sort of not quite a bow because they don't seem like bowy kind of people, but like a nod, and head out.
So you head out. This time unescorted, but you know where to go, right? You know how to head back to Augerville and cross through Augerville and get over to the camp. By no means would I imagine you guys are running or in a rush necessarily. If anything, I would imagine we're being cautious, considering the level of tension that's here, both by the captured son and the wonderful lyrical works of Vasilla.
You have any clever ideas on how we can help this go smoothly?
Well, he seemed to imply that there is an exchanging of tithes, most typically.
But do we honestly expect if permission had been asked, he would have taken that from accord?
No.
Given the son is tied up and...
I mean, from where I'm standing, the right answer is from the go ahead and get married and unite the tribes, but that's never going to happen.
Well, why
or
not?
it is with a lot of effort.
What if Zeratom were to
Decree
use
it?
his... Right? I mean, if the goal is to war against demons, would it not be helpful to both make that right, as well as have some kind of future generations uniting them, perhaps to live in Augerville?
Well, Palacus supposedly works pretty well for Zeratom. Maybe that's the plan. Who knows?
It's step one at least.
Yeah. I think at this point we take what we can get.
So you cross into Augerville. You guys are walking through the town at a bench by the well. Sitting there tuning her lyre is Marigold. She acknowledges you.
Just keep walking. Don't make eye contact.
Everything went well, I hope, as you walk past.
Oh, apparently not my best choice of songs.
I should teach you a few.
That would be amazing. I stop following.
We've lost her.
So you guys cross over through Augerville and you make it back to the Quard camp. I assume we're heading towards Meridia's. All right. So let's have you entering Meridia's tent. And as soon as you are present, you are ushered there and brought to the camp. There's all types of murmuring and conversation happening until you walk in. And silence falls. Meridia looks to the four of you, but doesn't say anything, with just a look of anticipation on her face.
We need to speak with just you.
Of course, get out. Everybody out. Everybody out. And so everybody scrambles. They're leaving. And one of the guys, are you sure? I'm fine. I'm fine.
You know, there's like 20 of them outside the door.
So Palakis doesn't seem to be moving.
Mhm.
And as soon as Meridian notices that, she turns to him. She goes, "That includes you." "Oh, of course, of course, of course, of course."
Mhm.
And he leaves as well.
Well, all right. He's going to be involved in two. Palakis, come back. Come back.
No,
Oh,
no. I
don't,
think,
don't, don't. Let's
I'm on the
let's
bus.
work
Let's
the
let
deal
him
with.
go,
Let's
and
talk
we'll
to her
bring him
first.
back
Okay.
later.
Never
So
mind.
he's-
Keep going.
He's kind of standing there. She says, "Leave." So he
Stay
leaves.
nearby.
Yeah, don't go
Don't leave town.
Is he okay?
He's all right.
He's there, isn't he?
Mhm.
Yes.
Did they take him? What do they want?
Well, he has apparently been visiting the Skunsa's daughter.
Tailed you. The little one.
She wasn't
younger one.
introduced while we were there. You know, about 14, 15, yay tall. And so Skunsa apparently discovered it. The impression I got is that whatever was going on was mutual. But, well, Skunsa hasn't taken it real well, as you can imagine. Said if it would be anybody else, the boy'd probably already be dead, but he doesn't want any more conflict between you than there already is.
Well, I'm thankful for that.
I think
Did he look okay? Have they hurt him?
he's bound, but he didn't look harmed.
What does he
No
want?
blood.
I don't think he knows what he wants. I don't think he has a good answer. But for right now, he's agreed that you need to negotiate, and unfortunately, the only one he wants to talk to right now
Unfortunately.
is Palakis.
Palakis.
That's what he said.
Palakis, she yells. And doesn't take it. He was right outside the door.
He was right there.
Yeah. Was it, yes?
Good. You're a good listener.
Come here. Why would Skunsa think that you should handle any level of negotiation to get us out of here? Get us out of here. I don't understand. What's happening? Ormor apparently has fallen in love. Tailed you. Yes. He's okay. We have to get him back. We have to resolve this. Hopefully as quietly as possible. Because I'm not convinced that I can prevent something from happening. But what's a mystery to me is why Skunsa asked for you. Yes, of course. Of course. Yes. And what does he want me to do exactly? And he kind of turns to you guys.
He didn't say. He just said he would negotiate through you.
He wants to negotiate.
Mhm.
So he kind of sheepishly turns back to Meridian. He goes, there have been times that I've been in the throne room, and Skunsa was there as well. What? Sir Tom's taking he's taking counsel from Skunsa. Oh, and me, Marigold. And you didn't feel that is something that your huntress should know. It's complicated. it's complicated. It's I was you know what, I was going to bring it up today. That we were meeting later today, and I think that I was figuring out the best way. Will you escort him?
Sure.
I think that'd be best.
Wouldn't want anything bad to happen to him.
She turns to Polakas and says, "We have things to talk about, but the only thing that you need to be worrying about right now is that Omer comes home safe." Of course. Yes, of course. So
Do
he
you-
leaves,
Okay.
or he is leaving. So talk to me.
Okay, I would say to Meridia, do you have I mean, is there an offer or something? You know, he talked about God, what was the word he used?
Tithes.
Tithes.
Letting
So
tithes
I don't know.
eventually.
You know, he
Mutual
seemed upset
tithes.
mostly that there was no permission or anything, but they're kids.
Right.
Yeah, of course. Yes, the Galdanes are. They're so backwards. So yes, in their little backwards world, then if it was he's the boy, he's my son, and there would have been a meeting. I would have asked permission for my son to spend time with his daughter, maybe offer a horse, some coin, something to open the door, as the Galdanes call it. But I mean, they're barbarians.
Well, I think you ought to think about what that meeting might look like and what that offer might be, because
For my son to bed a Galdane.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but that ship
That's-
has sailed.
I was trying to think of another metaphor because I don't
That
think that
horse
would be
is
one that I
blue.
would have used. We're like, what's
It goes
the,
way back to before the Blood Mist.
He's read about boats.
And like I said, from what I can tell, I think she's on his side, but her father doesn't want to hear it, as I imagine you don't either, but that's the way it is.
I don't want Polakas talking to Skunso alone.
Yeah,
So
we didn't actually let him leave, right?
He's there.
He's here.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we didn't he's not walking off. And
No,
we're
I'll
not-
take care of
we're
it.
not-
It'll be fine.
We're not letting him leave.
Right, exactly.
I
guess
feel
this
like
is what I
Aldrich's
wanted
just
to
like
make
got
sure
a
that-
hand on
it's
his
like, no,
shoulder.
you don't get to go until I say you get to go.
So he is. Pelagus turns around and he goes, "But that might be what he insists." I don't. This is my one ask. As one of my friends here is to be in the tent. Of course. Let's go.
All right.
I guess that's all right.
Thanks for going.
Okay.
So Pelagus is talkative. Obviously, some wrecked nerves here. I don't know how happy he is about the fact that he is not the only one that has been giving counsel,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously there have been secrets kept. So he's
You
extremely
better do a
talkative.
good job with these negotiations, because she is pissed.
Was Skylia in the tent?
I assume
Yes, she was.
so.
He was.
Probably the only
Just
woman you
about
would have
this all-
seen.
Yeah, dress. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been her.
And Gotham. Gotharm.
Yes.
Yeah. He was the one that
He took us there.
Okay, this is going to be a challenge. This is going to be a big challenge. Okay. Who's going in with me? Who do I tell them needs to come in with me?
Oh, it's 10.
Oh God.
He seems to like your demeanor.
Your Kender.
Don't say it like that. I mean, hell, if you want, I could do it, I guess.
I was thinking I might go speak to Marigold.
So you
Somebody
come
want to
back
go
into the
with
center
her
of
if
town.
she's doing that?
She's not there.
Oh.
So you guys continue, I assume, and keep in mind, just in general, guys, as I'm narrating this, if I say anything, you're like, no, Craig, that's not what we're gonna do. Just shut me up, right? I'm just okay. You guys work your way through town. You get to the Galdane camp, and there's not a gate or anything, right? But the tents are, there's a demarcation when when you've entered the camp.
Yeah, I'm assuming we kind of sort of stop at the border and wait to be recognized, kind of thing.
You're actually stopped at the border, and guards there and looks and goes, "Why is he here?"
Skunkus's orders.
Skunsa.
Skunsa. Sorry.
I kind of like Skunkus better, actually, but anyway.
So
Let's try to be cordial.
the woman walks up and says, "He's correct. I'll take them."
As we walk, after we've left the immediate vicinity of the guards, I'd like to ask her what her ideas were that Skunsa wouldn't allow her to say in the tent.
So you say that to her, and she actually stops walking. And you see her looking around. And she says, "Where do you fall in terms of Zertome?"
Sure like to meet the guy before I make a decision.
Agreed. We don't
know.
had the pleasure of his company.
I watch Palakis while this conversation is going on.
So Palakis wants to be a part of this conversation. And he goes, "What? You're not supposed to be talking to them. You're not. That's not what this arrangement was." And she turns to you, Ostring. She goes, "I'm happy to continue talking, but not with him here."
Well,
shall we talk after, or talk now?
We can't get rid of him.
I'll lead him off a little ways, and let's see, and I'll kind of lean in conspiratorial. Let's see if we can get some advantage for the negotiations.
So, making sure that it's not real loud, Ostrich, she gets close to you. And she says, "I don't know what you're being told. You are strangers. But you should know things. Can you meet me at Auger's tonight?"
We can. We will. If there's anything you can tell us that would help us in these negotiations for this boy's life, I'd rather not wait until then.
Skunsa wants this just to be over. He trusts Palakis. I don't know why. So just know as you're going in that he wants this resolved. He wants this to go away.
Very well.
So she takes you to the tent. Comes in. As soon as Palakis walks into the tent, Skunsa immediately looks around and says, "Everybody leave. Take the boy. Take Tailju. I'll call for them."
And I assume that at some point, good old Palakis is going to mention that Sten gets to stay with him.
Yeah, Sten does not move to leave.
And I think as Osric, turns to go, I think I want to just catch catch Sten and just
Mhm.
sort of give him that sort of synopsis of just that little hint that, you know, we think that he does still, he also doesn't really want this to escalate to war. So
Thanks.
this should be, you know, something to keep in mind.
So Skunsa looks at Sen and goes, "You're staying."
I've been asked to ensure that no harm comes to Palakas. I know you wouldn't do that, but promises were made.
Fair. Have your friends just stay outside. Don't go far. You see the daughter, Tailju, you see her taken to one tent. You see Olamar taken to a different tent. No, but not being manhandled or anything, being led, still blindfolded, still bound. As soon as it's just the three of you, the first thing Palaka says, she knows. She knows you've been giving counsel. I don't know what we're going to do. Can you just let him go? How do I explain that? And he turns to you, Sten. He goes, how would you explain that? How would you explain that to your tribe? That you allowed this?
Well, like I said, I'm an outsider. I don't know your ways and how you do these things, but one thing that smarter people than me have done is when you're in a situation like this and you have to do something that looks bad on you, make it seem like it was your idea.
How so?
You caught the kid. You tied him up, yelled at him, made clear that he was making horrible mistakes. You let him go as a show of goodwill, maybe for some kind of token tithes. And then she, as a sign of goodwill, and she owes you for that. I mean, frankly, it was a long time ago, but I was that age once. And I suspect you were too, and at least among my folks, something like this is not going to go away just because both the parrots say so. I don't know if there's any way you could sort of work out some kind of more official courtship. I know it's a complicated process, and I know neither of you like the idea very much. But I feel like if you don't work something out, something like this is going to happen again.
She reminds me of her mother. So I think you're right. And though not nearly as insightful as their act has been, and as dangerous as their act has been, between the three of us, my courtship of her mother wasn't much different. I don't think Meridia would take a debt. But I do take your point that in some ways, me defying our ways and me forging a bridge could be a sign of strength.
I mean, it looks like leadership from where I'm standing.
You've spent some time over there, old man. If I allowed my daughter over there, do you think they would teach her just to speak, even if not spoken to? Do you think that they would allow her to make decisions without consulting her father?
I mean, from what I've seen, they
Women run
women
that
over
camp.
there. Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, look, it's probably not going to surprise you if I say that their feeling about the Galdanes is probably pretty similar to the way you feel about the Quards. I don't know that anybody would frankly want to give her the time of day. But I mean, I imagine she's a smart girl.
Too
I
smart.
imagine she'd see what life is like for women over there and start getting some ideas. I don't think you can put that horse back in the barn.
I'll have a decision tomorrow. Tell Meridia her boy is safe. He will sleep tonight better than any Galdane shall sleep. And the only place he'd be safer is in her tent tonight. Assure her.
Okay.
By morning, Palakas,
Yes, of course. Yes, yes.
I'll have my decision then.
But I was a part of this, right? Like, so I can let her know that this went well and like things are good.
Yeah,
have my-
yeah, no, you did great.
I'll have my decision in the morning.
Great.
Thank you.
So the two of you step out.
Because when we get back there, I'll do all the talking.
Mhm.
I'm here for a Palakas instead odd couple.
Oh God.
So he starts heading out. He's headed back towards Augerville, of course, back towards the Quard camp.
Let's go. And I will fill these guys in
Sure.
on what happened.
Once we're out of the camp.
Sure, yeah, when we're away from the guards and everybody, yeah.
So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Palakas tries to take 100% of the credit by the time we get to Meridia's tent. If at any point Sten felt like he had to correct the record, he quickly realized he does not need to correct any records because she.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't say anything, but she can hear his eyes rolling from where he's standing.
Right. And she would believe you saying the sky is green before she would ever believe Palakas saying the sky is blue, especially considering things.
Mhm.
She thanks you again, Sten, and she says, tomorrow morning, you may have saved both of my children.
Let's hope.
If I may, I know that my voice is not normally the one of wisdom, but if the concern, if they are to court, is being in one camp or the other, could not you let them do their courting in Alderville with chaperone?
There's no way of stopping it, is there?
I don't think so. And I'll tell you what he's afraid of more than anything else is that his daughter is going to see how women are treated among the Quards and start questioning why they're not treated the same way on that side of the town. So having something go on in middle ground might be more amenable to everybody.
That is something I had not thought of. An opportunity to show a Galdane woman her place.
And I'll just tell you that that's going to make him angry. I'm not saying it's not the right thing to do. It's just something to be aware of.
Do you think he would allow them to continue?
I mean, from what he was saying, he kind of recognized that it's not the sort of thing you can just say no and have it end. I think he wants a way out. And I think if you guys can come to some sort of agreement between you, this might be a way for you to, if not ally, at least come a little closer together between the tribes.
I also, for what it's worth, think that he cares about his child.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't want, I mean, he doesn't want her getting ideas and thinking for herself, but he clearly loves her like you do your son. Nobody wants these kids to get hurt.
Will you go with Placus in the morning?
Sure.
Okay. And she's very thankful. Things wrap up.
Okay.
So we've got a clandestine meeting with Osric and the priestess from the Galdanes happening supposedly later tonight. By tomorrow morning, Sten and Palakis are supposed to find out the conclusion or the decision of Skunsa. The day is yours.
Yeah, and all this is assuming that we don't, get murdered for a scepter before then.
Yay.
Well,
I forgot
honestly,
about that part.
if we did that, I mean, that solves all the other problems.
It certainly, from our perspective, does.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think, given that we have committed ourselves to not, just fleeing,
Yeah.
We're kind of stuck here.
we've sort of committed ourselves to at least another night here. I'd like to go to Augerville and see what's going on with this festival, which is today.
Oh yeah. Sure, maybe
To
they'll have some
pick up
free
some
beer.
local culture and learn some more about Augerville.
So let's montage that a little bit. Let's montage the four of you kind of heading into town, and things are astir. You see stalls being built and put up, and the farmers are selling, different things, and there's a buzz. Shockingly, within the vicinity of each other, we see Quards and Galdanes. Now, at no point are they, more than 15 or 20 feet close to each other, but just the fact that the proximity, I think, is very, very interesting. If there's any type of conversations that we want to have, we can do that. Is there things
One
we
thing
want to?
I did want to ask, when we see those close interactions, is it like more tense than usual? Are they like, muscling up, like reflecting the tension between the camps?
They're ignoring each other.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
probably the best we could hope
Yeah,
for.
it is. It is. I am consciously not looking at you.
Right.
Right.
I thought the Hollows was an awkward place to live. Good God.
But this is an opportunity. So if there's conversations that we want to have, if there's things we want to connect with, I am wide open.
I will find out what the the third day of the rock putting outing looks like. Are we like getting buckets and running from the river to the rock? Are we like picking up the rock and dropping it in the river? Like what's the protocol here on putting out a rock?
So let's have you pose that question to Auger, right?
Hmm.
And Auger turns to the boy that he put in charge last time he left. He goes, "Explain it to her." And so this boy sits down with you in the tavern, and he kind of takes you through the entire festival. So day one is a day of peace, right? Where we're all are welcome together. And if there is to be any prosperity, then no cross words should be spoken. Right. So, and he hints at that, it's supposed to sate the river and allow it to calm and be ready for day three. Right. So what you're seeing outside is exactly that, which is it purposefully enemies are to be brought together and no cross word is to be spoken. Right. Day two is the feast. where it's literally get up, eat, take a nap, get up, wake up, eat some more, probably
Rinse,
take another
repeat.
nap, and it's a day of gorging. It's a day of plenty, a day where no money is to exchange hands. Everything is to be given. So where you show your appreciation for the fertility of the land and the kindness of, and the peace and blah 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 and Mother Earth, yada yada, all of that, it comes from you showing your generosity, right? So just people are just giving each other shit, food and whatnot, right? Probably the most popular of the 3 days. Day 3 is a
Naturally.
day of ceremony. On day 3 is when the rest of the year is determined. So first thing in the morning, a pyre is built, and it's built on the castle side of the river. Zertom, traditionally, for as long as anybody can remember, is the one that chooses the rock. The boulder has varied in size. Sometimes it's been, small enough that 2 men could lock hands and surround the rock, right? Other times, it would take teams of horses in order to bring this boulder, because it was twice the size of any man. But the rock is placed on the pyre and it's heated up, right? So fires are stoked under it, and it's not really a game, but the dance that happens is, how hot can we get the rock without breaking it? And at any point, someone holy, a priest or a priestess, or some years it's been Zertom, that called for the river. And already they have huge buckets of water pulled from the river surrounding it, and traditionally strangers, but there's been years where there were no strangers, so they would bring somebody young, somebody that one year was somebody who was blind, that was tasked to do this, to try to kind of fit the thing, even though they didn't have any strangers. Buckets are thrown onto the rock, and the hope is that when the rock cools, that it doesn't crack. And if it doesn't crack, it is a sign of great fortune for the rest of the year. The rock is then bestowed by Auger as good luck to somebody in the town. That help?
Interesting.
So it's a ceremonial throwing of giant buckets of water.
Yep.
Cool.
And hoping the damn thing don't crack.
Don't suppose that's some kind of magic, does it?
To not crack rocks? Is that a thing?
Yeah. Crack rock?
I don't do the rock magic.
Cool.
I would like at some point to there be a brush with Marigold. And we can be more involved in this if you want, but Marigold makes it very, very clear in kind of a cute way, which is, I'm sure, very annoying for Sten, that the deal is in place. And that if you are the strangers in the ceremony, day after next, that she will keep your secret.
You're not going to make the stone crack just for the fun of it now, are you?
I think it's more exciting when the stone cracks, but I have nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm. No ancient elf determines if the stone cracks.
I mean, walk around town, walk to the farms. There's enough rocks.
Craig, as far as bestowing the rock, is it bestowed upon people or is it bestowed upon a place?
So it's given to a person, a family. Usually,
Okay.
you know, it depends. Sometimes it's been given to a person or, you know, given to the family, but it is considered like a BFD, right?
Right.
And it's what is interesting maybe is the fact that, you know, all of this has a religious overtones. The both the, you know, any priest or priestess of Horn is very involved from day 1 through day 3, especially during the ceremony. Zertome is seen and is part of the ceremony as well. He'll overlook it, which is a big deal. But to it's interesting that Auger is the one that decides, right? And maybe Vasilla, during your conversations, it kind of made clear that this tradition for Amber's Peak existed long before Zertome inhabited the castle, long before the Quards and the Galdanes arrived. This is something that has been in place for longer than anybody can remember. And it's changed over time, just like all things do. You also learn that it was Auger's family that used to live in the castle. But that's so long ago, who knows if it's true, right? We're talking hundreds and hundreds of years.
Well before the mist.
Well before the mist, yeah.
Okay.
I'm meeting and I have her name somewhere.
Scalia. Skylia.
I'm meeting her at Augers, correct?
That's what she said. Yep.
Okay.
Do you want this meet to be alone?
I'm
Stan
not-
waggles his eyebrows.
Do you need a horse to open the door?
That ship has
Nice.
sailed. Roughly what time is it?
We're montaging, right? So it can be
Okay.
where we want it to be.
So I have a couple things that I want to make sure that I try to accomplish before that.
Yep.
And I think one of them is, if possible, I'd like to ask Auger about how and when the decision of who the rock is bestowed to is made.
He is not really interested in talking about it.
Okay.
And he's being respectful, but he
That's
says
fine.
that is something that my family does.
Okay. Another thing I would like to do is I would like to try to spend a quarter day foraging for food. To bring as a donation for
Day 2?
tomorrow's festivities.
I like
this
it. I
guy.
like it a lot. So let's do a little foragey.
And if anybody who has some skills wants to assist, then you know.
I mean, it did occur to. I mean, if you mention it, Sten would probably try and, if there's a decent hunting ground near here, he would probably try and catch
I don't really
something
want to deal
nice.
with people after my falling on my face earlier anyway. So some nice time fishing sounds great.
I love this idea. How about Aldrich? How does Aldrich want to tie up the quarter day?
Yeah, I mean, Aldrich doesn't have much real interest in this whole, not saying ill words to each other thing. So did everybody kind of clear out? Like, is everybody at Augerville, or is it just parts of the population?
Oh no, it's coming and going. It's a festival day, right? So people are coming to and fro from the camps, from the farms. It is nobody's working really, all right? So there's farmers will take they're rotating stalls. It's not like one person's stall. It's like 3 farmer stalls, and they rotate through, and it's very important, it seems, that everybody finds time, if not a day of relaxation here. And there's kind of that uncomfortable evangelical kindness of greetings and everything that's happening at all times. It's very
bless your heart.
abusive. Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. Except for the 2 tribes, which are just doing their version of that, which is pretending the other doesn't
Not-
exist.
Yes.
Day
Yeah.
1 is
All
Vasilla
right.
Day.
I don't
Day
hate
2
you
is
as much
Aldrich Day.
today.
Well, I guess. With that in mind, I think Aldrich would kind of shy away from everything. I think he's gonna go back to his tent and focus on the gem and the scepter,
Oh, okay.
since he hasn't really had a quiet moment to do that. And now that he really knows what it is, he wants to see if there's some kind of connection that he can make to it.
I like that. All right, so let's do that last. Who wants to go first in
Find
the
that
let's get some
terrifying.
bounty?
Uh,
Ostrich,
sure, I'll
you
go
go first. Yep, so let's do a little foraging.
and foraging is just a survival roll. Did I read that right?
Yeah, it's just survival. I was saying we could do it through the party sheet, but there's no point. Just as easy, just rolling it, right?
Does the party sheet do things for? Apparently, it's harder to do in the spring.
Oh, you know what? It will take care of that. So why don't you do it through there? Yeah, and let's do the hunt through there too, Brian, because it'll
Sure.
step us through finding the
makes
prey
it
and all
easier.
that. Yeah.
Travel, is that where that
Neat.
is?
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna drag myself down to forage.
Yep.
Then I'm gonna click on forage.
Actually, I'm gonna put myself in other.
I do not see a modifier for spring.
So it's you get a +1 for spring.
I think I get a -1 for
Oh,
spring.
you do? Okay, let's do -1 for spring.
Because it's just growing.
Because it's harder to
That
makes
forage
sense.
for food.
Makes sense.
Yeah, right. So +1 in fall. That makes sense.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna roll. Womp womp. And then I guess I'm gonna try harder.
Okay.
I can't show up to the party empty-handed.
Forage harder. Find the plants.
And sadly,
Or find nothing.
or find nothing.
I mean,
So-
this whole area is probably foraged out.
Now, nobody knows this, I don't think, except for Dave and Jim.
Hey.
So
Yeah.
before I do this, I want it to be known that Jim's character in the home game of Forbidden Lands that we had running for a while also foraged and almost died. So now let's do our forage mishap.
Oh no.
So give me a second here.
You've killed a demon. Don't die to plants.
All I'm saying is, if you die, your next character is Palakis.
As long as I don't actually have to do the voice, I think I can pull it off.
No, you have to do the voice.
I don't think I could do it.
That's his defining characteristic.
Yeah.
All right. So Ostrich, you head out. And if it's okay with you, I think your best chances might be in the forest, Glen, south of the farm, right? I guess before we go and talk about it, there's a bit of a walk to get down to there, right? To head south. What is running through Ostrich's head now that Ostrich has had maybe 30-40 minutes to himself, just walking south, headed to go try to forage some food?
So I think in terms of this particular activity, he's concerned around the idea of respecting these people's beliefs and those sorts of things, and that's sort of what brought him to this as a concept. There's definitely some nervousness around his probably overpromise to meet with this priestess. Osric is definitely not the most linguistically capable, so speaking on behalf of the group is definitely something that he sometimes struggles with. So, but I think that the idea that she's trying to help all of us get further in terms of our knowledge and our understanding and helping these people is important, and so it had to happen.
Yeah.
And I think he's still wrestling just a bit with how poorly he fared against the demon boar, because I think while he didn't fall over dead, he definitely, I think that was it was a much more cumbersome process for him than was his initial encounter with the demonic with Rustbite.
Yep.
So I think it was more of a sobering realization that while the sword is definitely a help, it is not an automatic thing, and so these things are real and are really dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. So a sense of mortality, even
Yes.
with that added power. So as we see Osric with, you know, the music that tells you that Osric's thinking, walking down the trail, we cut to a pond and we see Vasilla trying to get the hook in, finally gets it tied and ties the knot as she's really good at, and she throws her line into this little pond, which is, let's have it be like maybe a half mile or so. So maybe there was part of the time that you and Osric walked together, and then you kind of went off towards the pond. So Vasilla, you're by yourself. You throw the line in. Let's do a fishing roll.
I think we're supposed to get one day of gear bonus, aren't we?
Yeah, you can add that.
You may have to click on the gear to do it.
Oh, that's possible. Yep.
Oh, did I press the wrong button? Anyway. So gear +1, I think, is from my rod roll.
That sounds right.
And I'm supposed to get +1 for being a fisher with the level 1. My roll for survival. Oh, I was supposed to roll one more die. Oh well, whatever. I passed.
Go ahead, just roll a d6 real quick.
That's /roll d6.
/R space d6 or 1d6. All right. So one success, which I believe gives you 1 unit of fish. So we see Vasilla, you know, fishing away, and she's able to pull in a couple fish from the pond as she's going. But we also hear the same music that we heard when Osric was walking. So I would love to get a little bit of insight now that Vasilla's had time for herself. What is going through Vasilla's head?
So Vasilla, like starts off just like angry, ranting at herself and the Galdanes, and like, how could they, what, like, what's wrong with them? They're idiots. Like, who doesn't want to have beauty in their life? And then I'll start like thinking about Goldilocks and like her crazy cat eyes, and then I think eventually like she settles down into like, what the hell am I doing? Like, there was a demon boar. I have a knife. I have it. Like, what the hell am I doing? And kind of, I think she kind of goes through like the range, and then she just kind of like gets the meditative kind of fishing, and eventually like sings to herself, and you know, calms out.
Beautiful. Maybe jarred back to reality as the hook
fish
sets.
grab.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. All right, so let's cut to Sten the hunter, bow in hand as he works through. Let's first see if he can find prey.
Let's do that. Da-da-da-da-da. Find prey. I have 1 die of modifier from my talent, not 10.
You should have a gear bonus. Oh, no, not for find prey. You don't.
Not for find prey. Yeah.
All right, so 2. Let's find what you found.
What'd I get?
Let's take a look here.
It's a demon boar.
God damn it!
Smaller though.
So
Just a baby demon boar.
funny story. As Sten is stalking, actually, no, I think actually maybe Sten is not stalking. Sten is staying still and letting the forest open, right? And
Sure.
letting the forest decide what is going to be available to you. The stillness, your breathing changes, all of that, right? You fold in and become part of the land, part of the forest during that time. Before we talk about what you find, I do want to get a sense of the contemplation that Sten is happening during that stillness.
So actually, during that stillness, Sten really isn't thinking about anything. This is when he can let all of that go. This is his meditation. assuming he finds something when he, kills it and slings it over his shoulder to head back home, that's when he's going to start thinking. And if you want to go through what that's going to be now, it's basically kind of like Vasilla, as much as it would pain him to realize it. It's like, what the hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
I went out to try and see what's going on in the rest of the world. Now I'm being a marriage counselor to, warring horse people tribes, and I'm shooting bows at demons, and there's this shape-changing sorcerer threatening to, turn over the knowledge that we have the scepter of godhood, and just like, he's not going to do it, but like for a minute he kind of looks back at the camp and he looks at the road going the other way and he kind of stands there and looks at it for a long minute before he just kind of shakes his head and goes home.
What I'm thinking is like,
Like,
Sten,
Auger's really
Sten,
not
Sten
that far.
going, how many decades did I dream of leaving Oakenheart? And now the only thing I really want to do is go back to Oakenheart, because this is all a bunch of bullshit.
Pretty much.
That's great.
It was simple back there.
So even the camera almost loses track of Sten. He's so still and so becomes part of what's around him. Sten hears at the same time we do. We hear a and it's oddly familiar. You hear the rustling. You see the leaves moving. You can get a sense, even though you can't see whatever this is, you get a sense of the size. So you figure this thing is at least 50, 75 pounds of something. And when its head becomes visible to you, a whole lot of emotion runs through you, because it is exactly what you said. And this is totally what it rolled. It's a boar. And before we do anything, I want to know what that does.
So, when he hears something come close, he has the bow out, because as a hunter, you realize you may only get one shot before it sees you or smells you and heads out. And he's sort of, drawing the bow back, where he thinks it's going to appear. And then when we hear that snort and see the thing appear, you can just see the close up on the side of his head, and you can see that his hand is shaking.
Nice.
And then he sort of forces it to be still and lets go.
And that camera sees that. So the camera sees Sten let go when it cuts to Aldrich. So we're in Aldrich's tent.
Aldrich has, I assume, given the cords are fancy people, I assume we've got some kind of way to kind of secure the door, at least rudimentarily. So Aldrich has, to the best of his ability, essentially locked himself in, and he's just kind of got the scepter laid there in the middle of the tent, and he's just kind of looking at it for a minute.
So the first thing is, we are in the second quarter of the day, so I'm going to need damage.
Yeah, which is, basically that's going to take me out, because that drops my ability to 0.
Well, keep in mind that this is going to break you. It's not a critical injury break, right? So you basically have 0 dice, which means you are functioning, you're fine. You have not been injured in this way, but you are at 0 at this point. Now, if you were to take any damage and have nothing to give, then we will talk about potential critical injuries at that point. But what this does to you from a character standpoint is it drains you, right? So you're exhausted. So which attribute was it? Agility or wits that takes
Agility,
you?
yeah.
Okay. So it is, you're starting to maybe feel like a little shaky in your hands. You wouldn't
I feel like as he was coming back from Augerville, when everyone kind of was splitting up, he's like tripping over his own feet.
Yeah.
Like stumbling through the cord camp, and just trying not to draw attention to himself, and just like, I got to get back. This is too much.
Yeah, and there's maybe it's a mixture of exhaustion and intoxication. And that's how it manifests itself. So you're there, you set this thing in front of you.
I think eventually at some point there's this deep unquieting silence, and he's kind of staring at it, and eventually he just picks it up. All right. Talk to me. What are you?
What do I want to do here? Give me an empathy roll.
Okay.
But it's going to be a difficulty 2, so I'm going to need 2 successes.
Just straight empathy.
Yep.
Okay.
Unless there's a skill you want to, if you can pitch a skill to me if you want an empathy-based skill.
I have to technically unbreak myself to make a roll. No, empathy makes the most sense.
You know what? Nothing's going to happen. I think what I'm going to force you to do, Auger, is I'm going to force you to rest this quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I think you start to hold that and just realize that, you know what? I ain't got it in me.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good point. I'm glad that I caught that. So let's do that. So let's go ahead and heal up and have you end up falling asleep as you try to connect with this thing. And you get a full...
I feel like he has that moment where like he tries to communicate with it and nothing happens, and he just tosses it aside, covers it up, and then just crashes.
Love
like
it.
He's out.
Absolutely love it. So we cut back to our fighter as he is foraging through the forest. And
suddenly an arrow out of nowhere.
He found a boar.
Osric has turned into a wereboar.
Oh, jeez. I forgot to wear my orange vest.
For no particular reason, Osric puts a boar skin on his back and starts crawling through the forest.
Deeply meditative.
So you're kind of foraging around, kind of half in thought, half not in thought, kind of kicking around, and you do come across some essentially blueberries, and you're like, oh, cool, and you start grabbing those and realizing immediately they're not very ripe. So if you were to offer them, it might be insulting because they're, you might even taste one and it's just tart as shit. And it needs time, right? It's not there yet. And the camera follows you as we see just more and more frustration start to build on Osric's face. Osric is imagining Vasila catching fish and coming home with a bucket of fish. Osric is imagining Sten with a stag over his shoulders as he brings us to the festival. This was his goddamn idea, and he can't find a carrot or potato to save his life. And at one point, in the frustration of it all, Osric ends up just stopping and maybe sitting down on a fallen log or a stump or something along those lines. And the camera comes in pretty close to Osric's face, and we can really see the emotion that's happening there. The things that Osric's been thinking about, the frustration of this, so far fruitless foraging. But when the camera starts to pan back, when we panned in, we saw the forest surrounding Osric. But as we start to pan back, we see darkness. And slowly the camera gets wider and wider. And the audience, long before Osric, realizes that standing on 2 legs behind him is a huge black bear.
Oh.
Let's go to credits. We'll be on the other side.
Oh.
Coda in the chat says, I half expected Skunsa to say, I'll sell my daughter for 3 gold. I can just see
What a
Sten looking at
bargain.
this.
I mean, Sten's been looking for some companionship lately, you know.
Whoa.
Whoa.
No, I would never do that.
All right. So for those of you watching, you may have noticed that we put a little bit more focus mechanically on the scepter that Aldrich has, and that's because I think that both Nate and I kind of forgot about it, and he and I both went back and read the rules and just realized, the downside of this thing is no joke, which helps balance to the fact that what we saw last episode, where this thing took out a goddamn demon boar, right?
Seems fitting that it would start really pulling at this point. So
Yeah, so I think
Not-
thematically,
yeah.
we're going to
wake now.
see this be a little bit harder for Aldrich going forward, as we actually play by the rules. But that's why we see the change happening. So in case anybody was wondering why we hadn't done it before, it's because we didn't think about it and forgot about it, quite frankly. Just real quick, when we come back for episode 12, we need to resolve the shot made by Sten. And then we'll cut right to Osric and his new buddy. And then we'll start the episode from there. Another interesting episode, right? No combat, nothing along those lines. I'd love to just get a quick take from each one of you. So each of you are in charge of putting together the last time on Forbidden Lands to start the next episode. What do you think would be in that highlight reel to start the next episode about this episode, Dave?
I mean, I think Marigold is I think it's kind of got like 3 bits, right? You like Marigold with the voiceover, and you get like her like very puckish like smile with the teacup, like it's like the where that ends, and then you get the close up in the tent of the Spartan, the Galdanes, like sitting there like thinking, and like the kid like a tied up, and I'll make my decision tomorrow, and just like him sitting there. And then I think you go to collapsing of Aldrich, like in the tent, which like I imagine the shot is like he's reaching for the scepter and just like collapses and like pulls in, and then you cut to the giant bear behind Osric, and then you play the credits, and then you
Beautiful.
then you start with a bear.
Jim, what would you add to that? Is there any scenes that you think that would make a good previously on?
I think that the not Merida, the other one.
Skylia?
No, it is Merida, right?
The daughter?
Merida's the huntress.
Yeah,
The other
Maria.
M. Sorry.
Marigold.
Marigold. I think that
Okay.
the Marigold is
Merida,
sort of
Marigold,
something
yeah.
that she cuts over like a little bit of festival time in my mind, so that you see us doing our little montage and learning about the festival and stuff like that, and the streamers and the banners, and she cuts over that a bit. And I think for me, the things as far as the Galdanes, there's back and forthing a bit with Galdane to Quard, and how this can't ever work and this can't ever work, and those sorts of things are part of that too.
Yeah.
But I think that the the stuff around the space of Aldrich and passing out, and I think maybe you get that one glimpse of the shaking hand on the bow before that cuts, and then I think the bear is a big thing that kind of ends that whole thing, and you're like, oh no.
Something to look forward to, Jim. All right, Nate, what would you piece together?
Oh man. I think the one thing I would add to what everyone else has said, as far as a highlight, would be like kind of maybe even talking over, like you kind of pan it over, like everything else happening with the setup of the festival is like kind of snippets of the explanation therein, like explaining the ritual with the stone, and just kind of a few cuts of that over top the visuals, essentially, kind of as the lead into wherever that's going.
So, Brian, you're the GM of next session. Let's pretend.
Okay.
What are some things that you think need to happen? Now, I'm not talking about how to resolve or stuff, but
Mhm.
what are some things that are got a lot hanging out there right now, right?
Sure.
What are some ties that we need to start tying in your
Well,
mind?
certainly we need to get to at least the next step in the Romeo and Juliet saga of the Horse Lords. And see what's going on there and what kind of thing can be worked out. Um, I really would love to see us be able to delve deeper into what's going on with Skunsa and Palakis and everybody in those meetings with
Zertom.
Zertorm. Because I mean that's the one thing that I think we need to include in the summary is him saying, "Well, I've been giving counsel," and and then going over to Skunsa and saying she knows. I mean, I
Right.
think that was a big moment there. So definitely, I'd want to see that resolved, and then honestly, I think the other main thing we have to try and do is we have to find a sense of direction.
Mm.
I mean, certainly the game Forbidden Lands by its nature is a game of wandering around and seeing what you'd see and finding a bunch of stuff, but I think we're getting enough threads together here that we kind of want to find some kind of through line
Mm-hmm.
and start acting with agency.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that is yet, but I think that's a direction we might like to look at or at least talk about.
Yeah, and if I think if you don't decide, it might be forced on you, right?
Mhm.
Because there's more and more factors bigger than the four of you that are coming into play, whether it be the brush with the Rust brothers, whether it be the fact that there's obviously a war that's imminent or war that's being talked about. It's obvious the demons did not go away with a mist, that there's a lot going on, right? And whether the four of you make a decision on whether you're going to play a part in this or not, I mean, you hold a relic
Mhm.
that it's fair to say, because we've heard between Dalb and Marigold and other people talking about it, that the Rust brothers would love to find out that Aldrich is holding this thing, and Zertome would love to find this, right?
Yeah, it's something that people would literally kill for.
Exactly. Or does this mean that the four of you are going to become part of this? And are the four of you going to collect these things or look for these things? Marigold, of course, dropped the bomb that she potentially knows where another one is. And what does that mean? And is that true? And if so, is that what you guys are doing? Like, to your
Right.
point, because your
That's the thing,
point,
it's like, is
Brian,
that-
it's like, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah, we've been very kind of reluctant heroes so far, and I think
Yeah.
we're getting to the point where it's like, okay, this is going to keep happening around us. We need to choose a direction.
And maybe one of those directions is you take that damn scepter out to one of the fields and you bury the goddamn thing. And you walk away, or you hand it over to Marigold and say, never
Yeah,
talk to us
have
again.
fun,
Like, there's
yeah.
all kinds of choices, right?
Mhm.
Sidewinder wants to know in the chat, I'm still trying to figure out how Sten became the face of the group.
Yeah, it's like that's really hard for me because, as you may have noticed, Brian likes to talk, even though Sten doesn't. So it's kind of like when we got to a point where it's like clearly Vasilla and these people don't quite
Yeah, that was
click
for
in
sure.
terms of love languages. I was
We
like,
need someone who
well,
talks like
I
Sted.
guess I better talk. And then I went into Brian mode and started becoming the diplomat. So,
Oh, nice.
I'm the
Coda
conscience. of the
says
group.
Vasilla's the
Okay.
face, but Sten's the conscience. I like that. That's actually a really nice way to put it.
No, that's
All
not
right.
true. Osric's the conscience.
He's the contemplation, that's for sure. All right, so real quick, obviously Tabletop Talk, if you're not already listening to it, that's my podcast. Please check it out. Weekly we put out episodes. A lot of them are interviews with creators. If you have not listened to it, I created the guy that created this entire setting, Eric Ronstrom. It was a wonderful interview and it gave us some real insights on where the hell this great place came from. That's available on all your podcatchers. While you're on your podcatcher, and I'm just going to randomly pick one of you, Brian, let's say that I was interested in board games and it really kind of like forensically wanted to understand, what's behind board games, maybe some history. Is there any particular podcast you could think of that I might want to look for?
It's remarkable that you ask such a specific question, Craig. Yes, I would recommend the Ascent of Board Games, which you can find at ascentofboardgames.com, where I and a couple other board game nerds talk about board game history and evolution and what we like playing. And it's only once a month. It's not a big commitment. I think it's worth listening to.
It's one of my favorites, Brian. I've told you that several times publicly and privately. I love the angle you guys have. It's very unique. I've yet to find another board game podcast that does exactly what you guys do, and you've got the array of knowledge and the array of opinions to make it a very interesting listen. So definitely check it out. The Ascent of Board Games. It's a wonderful podcast, and it's got my useless seal of approval.
Thank you very much.
All right. More importantly than all of that, we had another great crowd again watching us live, and I just really appreciate everybody that makes it here live, that participates in the chat. We see a lot of familiar faces on here, which I love. Coda with the gift subbing was just really appreciated. I love making the Third Floor Wars 10 even bigger, bringing people in. And just having those interactions and taking the time to spend with us. For those of you that are not watching this live, I appreciate you guys too. We just spent 3 hours playing pretend, and you sat through the whole thing. So that's awfully nice of you. And good Lord, we're on episode 11, which means there's a good chance you watched 10 of these damn things. So really appreciate. Chaotic Gods, I know this is one of your first times watching it live. We